Part 3 of Chapter 14. This is all of the challenges of agriculture. So in this part, we're going to discuss recent trends in loss of U.S. agricultural land, global declines in domesticated plant and animal varieties, and efforts to increase crop and livestock yields. Then we're going to relate the benefits and problems associated with the Green Revolution, and we're going to describe the environmental impacts of industrialized agriculture, including land degradation and habitat fragmentation. So when we talk about loss of land, we really can relate that directly to agricultural land. So because of the increase in population, we are now currently losing about 160 hectares of agricultural land every year. And we're losing this directly to urbanization and suburban sprawls. So what used to be farmland is now parking lots and apartments and houses and those kind of things. And we kind of fought this a little bit with the 1996 farmland bill that basically protected some farmland and gave subsidies, including the easements, the land easements where we can pay, the government can pay you not to farm and those kind of things. So that helped a little bit and helped with subsidies and that kind of stuff. But you can see here that the prediction is that as we go into like 2020, 2030, 2040, we're going to be losing a lot more acreage than we're even losing now. We've also seen a decline in domesticated plant and animal varieties. So traditionally, we saw a lot of variety of things like lettuce and tomatoes, wheat, corn, chickens, beef, pork, all those kind of things. But now we're producing these modern varieties and we're breeding them for maximum production and for uniformity. What people don't want to do is go in the grocery store and have to choose between a bunch of different things. They want everything to be the same. The decision is easy. It's not necessarily the best thing for agriculture. And so we see a lot of traditional varieties facing extinction, and we're losing a lot of genetic diversity. And what people are trying to do is save some germplasm. So germplasm is the direct line, direct genetics used for directly for breeding. And we're seeing this a lot with traditional varieties. We're seeing that people are trying to save germplasm for these traditional varieties, but right now we see a lot of uniformity. Like if you buy chicken, it's mostly the same type of chicken. If you buy beef, it's the same type of cow. It's the same type of pork, the same type of goat used for goat milk, the same type of lettuce and tomatoes and all those kind of things. We're losing variety. We're also losing some of the nutrition. We've also tried to increase crop yields in the last 50, 60, 70 years. Until about the 1940s, until about World War II, yields around the globe were pretty equal. So we were seeing the same types of crop yields that developing countries were. But once we started to advance in things like tractors and plows and irrigation and big silos and those kind of things, we saw the Green Revolution. And so the Green Revolution is where we've seen an increase in yield, so an increase in production. And it's directly related to technology advances. So I want you to stop right here and think of what kind of technology advances we could have helped with this increase in yield and increase in production. We can increase livestock yields, or we have in the last few decades, mostly because of hormone additions and antibiotic additions. We add antibiotics, little doses at a time, to keep our livestock, quote unquote, healthy. And I put quotes here because if you give an animal, including ourselves, too much antibiotics over a long period of time, they become resistant. The natural bacteria become resistant. And then we've also given hormones. Hormones are to increase production and speed up growth. So we give hormones to milk-producing cows, and you can see the difference in the udders here, right? We want them to get bigger and beefier, and so we give them growth hormones in that way. When you give livestock and chickens and those kind of things hormones and antibiotics, if they ingest them, they ultimately get to the customer, the consumer. So now we're consuming an excess amount of hormones and antibiotics that we're starting to see some adverse effects of, and we're really seeing that it's really not it's not really beneficial. What are the environmental impacts of the Green Revolution and the agricultural business? The increased use of pesticides, these are going to leach into the groundwater. We're going to see pollution, runoff. We might see algal blooms because of this kind of stuff, and you're contaminating water sources. We're degrading lands, so we're decreasing soil fertility. Therefore, we're decreasing its productivity. And so we're causing deserts, right? Remember, we've talked about this. Desertification is a huge one. Then we're also fragmenting habitats. We have these little tiny plots everywhere instead of one big polycultural plot. And so these are monoculture plots that have no diversity and really lead to a huge loss of diversity. We also don't allow a lot of, we are fragmenting habitats of herbivores and birds and snakes and those kind of things. So they're starting to get run over or killed by tractors or those kind of things. So here's our concept check. Make sure in your notes you have answers to the following. So what is happening to the number of domesticated plants and animal varieties and why? What is the Green Revolution? What are some of the benefits and some of the problems? So you got to make sure you have both. What are some major environmental problems associated with industrialized agriculture?